Oh, there we go. I'm Carrie Kopnick, and I have served as the community minister here at the Chaplaincy Institute since 2020, and I'm currently also the acting executive director. With me today here is Michelle, who is our admissions specialist, admissions coordinator, admissions staffer. And I really appreciate you coming here today to have this time together for our Chi Talk. Chi Talks are a monthly event like TED Talks, exploring facets of spirituality through an interfaith lens with our Chi community. They happen every month on the third Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. We are recording today, so if you don't want to be on camera, you can turn your camera off and your image won't appear in the recording. And we'll have time at the end for questions, but please also feel free to just chime in as we go through. You may already know that the Chaplaincy Institute is both a seminary and a community. We have trained hundreds of spiritual care providers for the last 25 years who have given thousands and thousands of hours of spiritual care to the people across the world and to Mother Earth. We are currently accepting applications for our spring spiritual direction cohort, and I'd be happy to answer questions about that, Michelle, too, at the end of our time together here. So let me introduce you to Michelle. Turn the floor over to you, Michelle. See if you have anything to say you want to share about admissions or about you or about Colorado or anything.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Michelle, and I do admissions support at the Chaplaincy Institute. I am currently located in Half Moon Bay, California, which is the land of the Ohlone. I was in Colorado, Boulder, Colorado for about 30 years before this. It's much sunnier there than it is here on the coast. Who knew? Right by the ocean. I thought it would be sunshine, but it's actually foggy and quite cool here. Yeah, so as Carrie said, we're actually accepting applications for our spring 2025 spiritual direction cohort, but we're also accepting applications for our chaplaincy program. And that is on rolling admissions. I'd be happy to talk to you about it if you're interested in either of those programs. I have done both of them. I recently ordained from Chi. I can say now last year, I can officially say. So I can speak to both of those programs quite in depth, actually. Happy to get on the phone and chat with you or connect you with an alum or another student. We also host on the first Tuesday of every month an open house where Katrina Leathers, who's the dean of the seminary, and myself talk about the programs that we offer in the classes and answer questions from those who arrive. And sometimes it's kind of nice just to show up and see if you don't know the questions to ask, to listen to what other people are asking. And I feel like that can give a lot of information as well. So if you have any questions or want to talk offline, I'll put my information in the chat and you're welcome to reach out to me as well. Thanks, Carrie.
Yeah. I just have a little PowerPoint to share with you today to help me remember the talking points. Are you seeing my screen there? Okay. So this is about the path of interfaith ordination. I'm going to share a little bit about why interfaith ordination, what interfaith ordination is, and the first years of ministry. Our seminary, the Chaplaincy Institute, was founded in 1999 by Gina Rose Halpern. It's a kind of a funny story. She had this idea about founding a seminary that kind of came to her in this kind of divine download. And she said, oh, no, not me, no. And then it came to her again. And she said, oh, no, not me. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And then she founded a seminary. So here we are. She saw a need specifically for an interfaith seminary to tend to the queer community who were not, in 1999, it was not too long after the AIDS epidemic really swept through the Bay Area where she was. And so queer community people were called to spiritual leadership and didn't necessarily have a place to go to be ordained. Women are not, of course, still allowed in some communities to be ordained, and at that time it was even more stark. Then she also saw a need for people who came from a tradition but it no longer fit, either who were serving as clergy or spiritual leaders in that tradition, or maybe came out of a tradition where they felt some kind of spiritual moving, spiritual leadership calling, but it wasn't going to be a fit for them to lead in the community from which they came. She also saw a burgeoning movement of spiritual but not religious, is even stronger now. And then also specifically people who had a call to chaplaincy and not parish or congregational ministry. So this is a picture of Gina Rose in a basket over a river. And I think it's on K2. And this is kind of a symbol of her leap into the unknown and how fearless she is and was in just saying, this is the need, and here I go. Still just like that. I talked to her just this morning. So initially, the Chaplaincy Institute was founded as the Seminary for Arts and Interfaith Ministry. So we still have a strong connection to Arts for Awakening, moving through spirit, connecting to that which is greater than self through art and artistic expression and embodied experience. We're rooted in the arts. We engaging in transformative artistic practices, visual arts, music, and movement as pathways to the divine. Some really incredible courses that we have, or classes that we have in the courses, where you literally move with the divine. I want to say dance with the divine, but it's a beautiful opening to spirit and through ministry. Oh, and that's a picture of Gina Rose was an artist. And so this is a picture of her with one of her pieces. She did a huge art installation in a San Diego Children's Hospital. And she also traveled through Russia with Patch Adams doing art in places like hospitals for children who had experienced severe burns. So yeah, lived her work. Interfaith can be defined in a number of different ways. So how does Chi define interfaith? It's both a philosophy and a practice. And you can see here one of the recent ordinations that we had, part of our ritual. Interfaith and interspiritual perspectives at Chi. So Chi envisions peace and connection across all religions and spiritual paths. So when we talk about interfaith, often we're talking about a connection between many different faiths. And at Chi, we do understand that that's part of an interfaith perspective. Dialogue, understanding, appreciation of diverse religions while still honoring one's own path or one's own faith tradition. Part of our coursework here is to explore many, many faith traditions. We have global spiritual traditions courses 1 and 2 that do a pretty deep exploration, and you're also expected in the chaplaincy program to have many, many site visits where you go and experience not as a tourist, but as a visitor. We also talk about the interspiritual perspective. This is a term coined by Brother Wayne Teasdale that emphasizes shared spiritual truths beyond specific beliefs, integrating wisdom from multiple traditions. So interfaith is an expansive term that often means both of these things. Interspiritual is a little bit more specific, but a beautiful, beautiful thing to study. The interesting thing that I find about our people who come through the program is many retain a relationship with their faith of origin or their chosen faith. So a woman that I was ordained with continues to serve in a Catholic context, loving the Catholic Church, loving the Eucharist, and also strongly embracing her interfaith ministry. We have people who are practicing Buddhists, people who are practicing Sufis. So it's a place where we can find a home no matter how we come to that, but also probably more of our students and our clergy are spiritual but not religious, people who expand their understanding of spiritual beyond a specific faith. We foster experiences of both. And that's a beautiful altar from one of our ordination ceremonies recently. And you can see symbols of many different faith traditions. There's a giant Kuan Yin, a Virgin Mary. Oh gosh, I can't even see what else. Yeah, Yeah, definitely part of our work here. So what do interfaith ministers, chaplains do? The most common career for chaplains is a healthcare chaplain, giving spiritual support in hospitals, hospice, senior living facilities, um, children's hospitals, uh, psychiatric hospitals, treatment facilities. We also have many street chaplains, people who support those who are unhoused, facing drug or mental health challenges. Uh, One of our chaplains accompanies people when they have visits, when they have appearances at the local courthouse. She visits people in jail. Another has done a long-term street ministry feeding folks who are unhoused. Entrepreneurial ministry is also a very common career choice for our folks. So this is leading innovative spiritual projects, workshops, events that inspire and uplift your community. We also have people that do prison ministry, spiritual care and support to individuals within the prison system. One of our guest faculty members had a long-term prison ministry in San Quentin. Community ministry. Oh, this is the wrong thing. Community ministry is often people who serve in congregations in their communities. A couple of our people are actually lead ministers in UCC churches, people who serve as chaplains for Unitarian Universalist churches. One person is even a settled pastoral care minister in a UU church. And then the other piece that I think is really wonderful is that people enhance their current career. We have physicians, social workers, therapists, educators, those who work in the corporate world as corporate chaplains, and more. And that's something that often happens with people who do our spiritual direction program. It's certainly how I learned to listen more deeply than I ever had before. So as I mentioned, interfaith spiritual direction is another piece of interfaith ministry. Spiritual direction is the director of our program calls it, John Mabry calls it like couples counseling, but the couple is the seeker and the divine. So when we sit in spiritual direction, you may be very familiar with it. It's a time when we are experience listening from a perspective that goes far beyond an individual. So grounded above and below and beyond, to experience connection. It turns into this beautiful infinity loop between people, and is a place to really have a great ministry, or as I said, to kind of lean into whatever else it is to do in the world. The first years in ministry, and Michelle, you can probably speak more clearly to this too, but in the beginning, after someone is either gets their certificate in spiritual direction or is ordained as an interfaith minister or chaplain, it's a time to really integrate a sense of identity in kind of a new place in life. So the role of a clergy person or a spiritual director kind of twists a little bit in society. And people say we accept the yoke of ministry when we put the stole on our shoulders, the symbol of accepting ministry. And do you ever really take that off? That's a question that we kind of wrestle with. How does it impact your relationships? That's something that people can find kind of turns over in their lives, their relationships with family members, with friends. Sense of identity. It's who am I and how do I move in this world and what is my purpose? So that's something, especially in those first few months, that can kind of open. And then the next piece that I see in our clergy as they kind of come through that is a reevaluation of their call. Their call evolves. So people who came in to do prison ministry and wind up doing hospice work. So the thing that they felt called to evolve, stretches, grows. The depth of the work. Somebody who started out thinking that this was going to be a new career path finds that this is a deep call, and it becomes part of their most sacred self. And then the continuing formation, I will tell you, this never stops really, but it's very strong in the first couple of years of ministry. There's a growing comfort and confidence that comes in, especially as you pass about the first year mark, walking into a hospital room. For people that do healthcare chaplaincy, you feel the energy and know how to respond in a way that you didn't know a year earlier, or a sense of being able to lead a little ritual without any planning. It just comes to you and it moves through you, and a confidence that grows from that. That's just that you've got some miles behind you. And the truth is, it never stops. We call ourselves not a learned people, but a learning people. So it's something that continues to grow and become. Even our folks who have been ordained for decades continue to grow and learn. In retirement, they'll find that their ministry becomes in the line at the grocery store, to just be with people in such an expansive way, or their call evolves into a ministry for the earth, and an eco ministry where they are tending to climate disaster and the people who are dealing with climate disaster. A beautiful evolution, and it's something that we support each other here at our community as we continue to grow and learn. Pretty much always somebody who's done what you're doing before, that willing to sit down and talk with you. And this is what I see as the many ways to answer the call and kind of the path. The initial thing is maybe why you're here, or come to an open house, or maybe you're just curious about interfaith ministry. But the first piece is, what am I seeking? What is the discernment about what is right for me? Ministry isn't always right. Spiritual direction isn't always right. But we're here to have those discussions and to help folks think about it, talk about it, learn about it. The engagement, whether it's seminary or I'm thinking about the certificate programs that some schools have, or some institutions have, whether maybe it's just a on the ground mentoring. How do you want to learn and grow? What is that path going to be like? And it continues, right? I just took a whole certificate program because I felt a call to do something else. And then, so that's the continuation. The big one here, I think, is as we move through our call to ministry and through our ministry, is to continue to tend spiritual health and growth. Many of us, all of us in helping professions, find how we want to give. It's hard to find those boundaries, hard to find that container for the work. And that's probably the most important thing we can do. That is the most important thing we can do, is to tend to our spiritual health. And part of that is continuing to grow and to see why we're here, what we're doing, what's the call, what's the answer.